Hi, Jingping. Jing, am I right in thinking that you're the sole speaker for this session? Hi there, Matt. And if so, would you be able to get your camera and microphone on so we can test them? I apologize for my haircut. This haircuts only became legal in this country today, so I'm yet to have one. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Good, yeah. So go on.
I don't know how to switch because another session is ongoing. So.
Yes, no, so it's still happening. So what's going to happen? So there's another session still going on swap card, which will finish just before your session. Let me just bring up the details. And then yours will start automatically on swap card in 5 minutes time. Is that okay? Do you want to watch the end of the other session or?
I don't know. So can I already share something now, or I need to wait for another session to finish, then I start sharing? I don't know.
You can share now. So basically, to simplify it for speakers and the audience, there's 2 separate platforms. So everybody else will be watching the other session until in 4 minutes time when this session will go live. So this is all private. Everything happening now is private and won't be broadcast. If you can share your slides, you should be able to use the share screen button to share any slides which you'll be using now and present your screen. And we can just get ready.
Can you see my screen now?
I can, yep.
Okay, that's good.
So if you want to go to the first slide, wonderful, and hit present. See if that works. Perfect. Can you just flick forward and back just to make sure they're moving okay? Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this way is better. So we don't need to, for example, switch something in rush.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's all ready to go. So 3 minutes time, we'll get started, and I'll give you a. I'll just let you know when it's time to start presenting, and we're all good. Where are you joining us from?
China.
China. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in China? It's a big place.
Now it's safer. I mean, maybe safer than other places.
Oh, definitely. I was just saying, you're based in Beijing, Shanghai, Xi'an, Chengdu. Oh, Chengdu, yeah. Nice. With the pandas and the Lushan Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I went there about 3 years ago, and Yeah, it's good. Chengdu, the food is amazing. I had a very good time eating food in Chengdu.
Yeah, that's true. Hot pot, maybe it's very
no,
most popular one. Yeah.
Me and my wife, because you can get hot pot in the UK, but it's not the same. So we went to Szechuan, and wow, it was really nice though, but really hot.
Yeah, but you can also choose some no such hot, not so specified. It's hot, also, but not so specified. It's spicy. So.
But the thing about English people is when we give when we're offered spicy, we're always like, oh yeah, we love spice, it's great, it's fine, no problem. And then we have the spice, and it's too much. Yeah, no, Chengdu's fantastic, very nice. I'm in London, so we're just coming out of lockdown now. So hopefully things will open up again a bit more like they are in China.
So I hear there's some virus. I mean the different species of the virus from introduced bring from Africa in London, and the the vision cannot take.
Well, so we've got a minute to go. So there is some resistance, yeah, the South African strain, but it's not very widespread in the UK. They are sort of tracking down the South Africa cases.
Okay.
There's a few different variants, but I think what's going to happen is in 6 months' time, it'll be a new version of the vaccine for new strains, and it'll be a booster situation when everyone has to go. It's not good, but we'll see. Things are starting to open again, so fingers crossed. Okay, so we've got I have to stop. This is nice. It is nice chatting with you, but we've got 30 seconds to go. Could you present your screen again? Because we've got the sort of back end of PowerPoint. So if you just hit the present button.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. And I will tell you when to start in about 15 seconds. Okay, Jingping, if you could start now, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Jingping from Nokia. I'm rapporteur of the ZSM10, which is for general secret aspects of the ZSM framework. So first, I introduce the motivations of this study item. The security threat surface is extensive in the ZSM ecosystem because of the openness of the ZSM framework, which allows interaction between different players of diversity industries. For example, there could be interaction between a vertical customer and operator. It can also be a supplier and operator, also between the different operators, as well as the different domains in the same operator. And the interaction also can be a human to machine or machine to machine. In addition, the involved technology used in the ZSM solution could also introduce new risks. For example, the AML-based solution, virtualization and container, closed-loop automation, and intent-based management. All of those new technologies could introduce new risks. And also, impact of potential compromising of the ZSM framework could be very significant on the business of the operator and the vertical service providers, because the ZSM system could be used for the 5G network management, which may impact many critical infrastructure. In addition, compliance of the security laws and regulations becomes obligatory for service providers and their supply chains. Sometimes a violation of the regulation could be heavily fined and damage the business of the service providers. This security study item aims to identify potential security threats and risks, outline a list of the security controls in order to raise an awareness of security aspects that could be considered in ZSM specifications. The security threats and risks performed in the ZSM framework based on the methodology as listed below. First, it's asset impact-oriented methodology. That means we identify the important component of the ZSM framework and perform the risk analysis for those components. And the analysis is qualitative, or we call it semi-quantitative, because the full quantitative analysis could be very expensive and also too complicated. The threat categories include deliberate threat, which was always triggered by the malicious user, or we call it attacker. And there's also accidental threat, which could be introduced by the vulnerability of the function or by some internal user with some misoperation or misconfiguration. A third kind of the threat is regulation violate or non-compliance. There are several methods to classify threats. It could be based on the, for example, the domains of the target or the phases of the APT, this advanced persistent threat, or based on the attack mechanism. In this study, we classify the threats based on the attack mechanism defined in the CAPEC project of the MITRE. The targets of the assessment in this study include end-to-end service management domain, end-to-end management service, and management functions. However, the similar methodology can be applied in other domains as well. As shown in this in the red picture, the different type of the threat can be applied on the management function of the end-to-end management domain as well as other domains, also on the cross-domain integration fabric. Similarly, the regulation violation can also be applicable for the data service producer because there are a lot of the privacy-related issue bring up recently. So to address the aforementioned issues in the study item, we also proposed some security controls to address the security risks. There are three main categories of the security issues and controls. The first one is about the dynamic access control and exposure. For this one, there are two main types. The first type is external access control. For this one, tenants need to be considered because generally the access control policies will be defined according to the service level agreement between the tenant and the operator. The second type is inside the access control, inside the ZSM framework. For this type, the access control policy always built based on the operator's policies or other regulations, or even from the standardization or guidelines. The second category of the security control is about the trustworthiness of the management automation environment. There are, again, two types of the trustworthiness studied in the ZSM10. This first one is about the adaptive trust relationship between the different components of the ZSM framework. For example, the trust relation between the external customer and ZSM framework, between the management domains of the ZSM framework, and it can also between the management domain and integration fabric of the framework. The second part of the trustworthiness is about the trustworthiness of the supply chain of the management service or management function in the ZSM framework. So generally, the integrity check need to be done before upload the management service or management function to the framework. In addition, attestation need to be performed before, for example, startup management service. The second category is about the autonomous secret governance of the ZSM management entity. Generally, the security governance is about the security policies and the strategy and how to perform the security policies according to the strategy and automate these policies in the NAV network. Regarding the ZSM, the security governance is intended to automate the process and procedures to secure the management and the managed entity inside the framework. They automate the procedure of the security accreditation and certification before upload the package or do the security test before deploy any management entities. In addition, and perform the security monitoring during the runtime. Then let's zoom in each issues and security controls introduced in this study item. The first issue is about the trust relationship between the management domains of the ZSM framework. The openness and the dynamism of the ZSM framework introduced the new challenge to build trust relationship between the diverse management domain of ZSM framework. Because there are relationships between the ZSM and the external, and also between the management domain inside the ZSM framework. The security level or security assurance of each domain could be different. In addition, the security status of each domain could be changed time by time. So we need adaptive trust relationship mechanism, build up mechanism to adapt this kind of the diversity and the changeability. So to address this issue, it requires the ZSM framework to provide the following capability. The first is a knowledge-based trust evaluation to evaluate or re-evaluate trustworthiness of an ZSM entity. The second, the platform should provide the knowledge-based trust model adaptation service to decide trust relationship and the trust model between two ZSM entities. In addition, rebuild the trust model for ZSM entity and re-establish trust relationship between the changed ZSM entity and other ZSM entities. As shown in the right picture, there are two kinds of the trust services. The first one we call it the calm trust services, which could be support the trust relationship established between the different management domains. Another kind of the service is the domain-specific trust service. This service is generally serve the management function inside a single domain. The second issue is about the security assurance of the management function, which deployed in the ZSM framework. As below, the vulnerability of the management function could be exploited by adversary to compromise the management function itself. Then it attacks other management function. Finally, the whole ZSM framework and ZSM consumers could be endangered. So to address this kind of the risk, the potential requirement for the ZSM include generate the security requirements according to the security profile of the management function, as well as some environmental parameters. For example, the region of the deployment management function or the platform to deploy the function. Based on the security requirement, the platform should generate some security test plan and security policies automatically. And then according to the security policy, the framework could deploy the management function and configure the function based on the policies. After deployment, it could trigger the security validation based on the security test cases, which were derived from the security test plan. After successfully validate the management function, the framework can activate the management function and bring it up. Then during the runtime, the framework could be capable to monitor, detect, and report the anomaly of the management function, and optionally trigger some remediation on the compromised management function. So the third issue is about the multitenancy issue, because the ZSM framework is a shared platform which can be utilized by multiple consumer or tenants. So how to isolate the resource between the different tenants could be very challenging, because broken isolation or other protection in the multi-tenancy environment could cause loss of the sensitive information and service of tenants, then loss the reputation of the framework provider. To address this tenant-related issue, the framework was proposed for following capabilities. First, it needs to provision tenant information, also protect the tenant information. Also, it needs to expose corresponding management service to a tenant according to the tenant-specific policies. Third, it could assign corresponding management resource to a tenant according to the tenant-specific policies, as well as operator COM policies. In addition, it could protect the management resource assigned for a tenant. The red picture shows the workflow, an example how the consumer on behalf of the tenant could access to the ZSM framework for their management resource. Then this one is about how to dynamically access control the access on the management services of the ZSM. Because of the cloudification and increased requirement of the remote access, parameter firewall-based protection is not efficient enough anymore. An adversary inside or outside of the firewall could exhaust management resource illegally or intercept and tamper the data or policy for other legal users. or an innocent internal user could misoperate on management service as high privilege administrator to delete some critical resources accidentally. Therefore, identity-based access control takes an important role in the new digital era to prevent illegal access could be happened anywhere, anytime by anybody. And therefore, to really protect the ZSM framework, access control is very important. And we require the ZSM framework could provide such capability to support the access control. The first is identity management for management consumers and producers. Second, it could support domain or cross-domain authentication, authorization, as well as security audit. So to support this kind of the capabilities, some new management service could be introduced in either management function or in the integration fabric across different management domain of this ZSM framework. Then the last case is about the how to protect AMR-enabled management service in the ZSM framework. Because artificial intelligence and machine learning is used in the ZSM framework to provide service or domain-specific insight and prediction. It also supports variable degrees of the automated decision-making. In this year, many AMR systems were tricked or misled through data poisoning, model theft, or adversary examples. Therefore, this AMR-enabled ZSM framework can also be compromised because of the adversary attacks on the merchant model or on the data. You can refer the table 5.5.2-2 of the ZSM10 for the concrete threat and risk analysis report for the AMR-related MS of the ZSM framework. So in summary, there could be some secret controls to address this type of the risks. The first one is to secure the data and the machine learning model in the supply chain. And the second is secure the machine learning model deployed in the framework during its life cycle. And the third is need to protect the interface of the data and AMR services. Then the last is to ensure the trustworthiness of the AI decisions. ZSM framework was leveraged by many third-party projects or POC for their solution. In this slide, we show an example which utilizes ZSM-based architecture for the 5G security services. In this slide, you can see some security services introduced, which was based on the ZSM framework to ensure the 5G network security. Those services can be deployed in the end-to-end domain, or it can also be deployed in some subdomains to protect the 5G network component. This architecture is fully compliant with ZSM reference architecture, and it separates the concerns of the end-to-end management and domain management. Also, its service-based management architecture. The security management based on this architecture is a security service level agreement and policy based. It utilizes intelligent closed loop for the security assurance, and it's built in trustable and reliable way. If you want more information about this project, you can refer the link here for the detailed information. Okay, we just summarized the security aspect related work in ZSM framework. And now let's see what's the current status and outlook. Currently, the study item ZSM10 is stable enough and will be finalized in 1 month. As next step, normative content was already proposed as conclusion of this study item. The proposal including, first, specify the capability and potential interface to support building adaptive trust relationship between ZSM components. It could be between the management domains, between the management domain and integration fabric, and also between the data service producer and the other management domains. Second, it will specify the capability and potential interface to support dynamic access control and exposure for both external and internal interfaces. The third, specify the capability and potential interface to support automatic security governance of management services and functions, including artificial intelligence and machine learning related management functions and services. The fourth, it will specify the capability and potential interface to support automatic security governance of the AI-enabled ZSM framework as whole. So the last one is about how to leverage the capabilities of the ZSM framework to build intelligent and autonomous end-to-end security services, which can be integrated in the 5G network graph. Okay, that's all from my side for the presentation. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Jingping. I think we'll have to move on and put this on demand, but any delegates will be able to message you directly with any questions and you can take it up there. So thank you very, very much for that.